Everybody, this is George Moorhead, Bentley Properties, and today we're going to go through the technical first week of August real estate market update, give you some really great trends, let you know where interest rates are at and where they're trending. We're going to do a little Q&A today. James, Devin, and Lorraine asked some questions that have actually been asked quite a number of times, especially since our newsletter went out on Thursday. And then, of course, on last Saturday, we talked about the fact that July was the first residential real estate's negative market, meaning negative inventory for the number of homes sold exceeded the number of homes that were available on market. It's incredible. So with that, make sure that you subscribe, share this with your friend. Remember, these reports are free. There's no strings attached. And as Linda Bagley said, who's one of my all-time favorite best friends, who's an amazing real estate agent who I can say is an incredible practitioner. If her guests and whatnot and friends come on and they watch this, absolutely make sure you call her first. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Just let us know to make sure that you are Linda's friend, because we will then forward that question and response onto her so she can also do a better follow-up with you. So with that, Linda, you're awesome sauce. And if you guys are interested in a houseboat, there's no better person. That is one of her specialties. She has a number of them, but houseboats is a specialty of hers. And in fact, we met with somebody who said, yes, we're going to downsize. We like the idea of having a houseboat. We did shared some information, with Linda's information. Hopefully they reached out, and Linda, enjoy. Anyway, with that, let's get on. Let's find out what happened. So last week, we talked about the fact that there were 98 homes sold, more homes sold than there were active homes. Well, there were a few, let's just call them late entries into it, and it actually ended up that we sold 550. I know that's a weird round number, right? There were 550 more homes sold than there were homes available on market. Well, holy smokes. I've never seen that. That is amazing. So what happened since last Saturday when we published that? Well, interestingly enough, we have our beautiful chart here, but let's take it and let's make it a little bit more real. I think that that's going to help people to understand perspective a little bit more. So the last 7 days, we had 1,633 homes come on market. That means in the last few days, a seller said, yes, I'm going on market. I want to sell my house in the last 7 days. Of that, 2,386 of those homes actually went pending. Well, that's a pretty good number. But then we say that we got 1,431 that closed, meaning that a buyer and seller had mutual acceptance and now it is officially closed. Unlike pending, where a buyer and seller mutually agreed to a price and terms, that hasn't closed yet. All right. Then the C&E, that's canceled and expired. Of all things, 198 properties canceled or expired in the last 7 days. Okay. Add these three up, subtracted from that, we have a net loss of 2,382. If we exclude these right here, basically we'll be looking at what, 800 and some on? Is that right? 1,000? Something like that? That's pretty crazy. So we're still seeing a downward trend for inventory, and it will continue to be such. Why? We're not getting enough sellers coming on the market. So if you're a seller and you're thinking about coming on the market, quit waiting. Get on the market. We need you. We need you bad. Now, what's really funny is, and this is a shout out to Mike. Mike is basically he's a retired commercial broker. He practiced for, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many years he practiced. I think it was like 40. And it was awesome talking to him. It was absolutely amazing. All right. And even though our careers overlapped, I never personally got to meet Mike at that time. And to hear kind of his experiences and share what's going with our market trends, even he was saying, this is a market we've never seen. This is a very interesting time. And so first of all, Mike, as a shout out to you, thank you for a wonderful conversation. All we missed was our rocking chairs going back and forth. Two old guys talking about old stuff, right? Anyway, so if you're curious if the market is still doing well, yes, it is doing amazingly well. Even our rates, owner occupied right now, DGolden priced us today at 2.625, non-owner occupied at 3.375. For those of you that have been pondering, should I buy an investment? Is now a good time to buy an investment? Should I do something? The answer is this rate used to be an amazing rate for owner occupied. Because remember, it's based on risk. And the higher the risk, the higher the interest rate. Well, non-owner occupied or investment properties are a higher risk. And so those rates are always higher, as you can see here. Now, that is amazing. It's incredible. I've never seen interest rates that low. When I bought my first investment property, it was at 11%. And then when I could refinance at 9%, I thought I won the lottery. Then I got to refinance or buy a different one at 7%. I thought that is incredible. But anyway, 3.375, that is a crazy, crazy rate. And understand, if you're going to consider it, yes, but make sure the real estate broker you are working with is solid on understanding not a cap rate, but an actual internal rate of return from purchase to expenses, depreciation, appreciation, selling with capital gains, and going through the recapitalization of your expenses, so on and so on and so on, to come out with an actual net price averaging out over 5 years to give you a good window. Make sure you're working with somebody who understands those numbers. If you are not, you're working with the wrong person. I'm just saying. All right. Let's talk about our numbers. Month over month, our inventory actually went up 7.1%, primarily because we have seen a 19.8% increase in market. Now, the pendant sales, pendant sales are off the chart again at 28.8% above month over month. However, our solds are down 11.7. Okay, well, that's not a huge number, but when we come over here, this number keeps creeping up, meaning the number of homes that we have less on market, that number keeps creeping up, meaning that we have less and less and less. That well is getting lower and lower and lower, all right? New on market is down 11.2. Even though that is a fabulous number, we need twice this. We need twice this just to overcome this hole. It's not even a well, it's like a colander with holes. I guess colander does have holes. So it's got holes in it and it keeps draining faster than we can put water into it, all right? Then we come down here to pendant. Pendant, we're only down 2.7 year over year. Guys, again, remember, last year, we did not stay home. Last year, we did not have COVID. Last year, we were still doing, amazing and saying, oh my gosh, this market's crazy. Well, it's even crazier today. When we take a look at this, again, just in June, this was like 10.7, 10.5. Last week, it was 9.9. 9.9 last week. 9. We are getting closer and closer and closer to where we were at in a non-stay-at-home circumstance than we are today. That's amazing. Anyway, when we consider the market, when we consider everything that we're doing, you can see, let me pull this up. Now, those of you who are seeing a replay, you're going to see this actually screen shown. So I have to hold this up. There we go. All right. Whoop, there we go. You can see that dark green line. And if you carry that across, you can see how our market last year, holy smokes, is the same as this year. That is an incredible market. Now, that leads us into some of these questions. So James asked, hey, George, what is a forbearance? We talked about that last week. Okay, so the first round of forbearance. Now, forbearance is back in March when we had the stay-at-home order. The government did what, in my humble opinion, is a very smart thing, and they said, "Hey, because most of the mortgages are Fannie, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, USDA backed, okay, that for those people that have to stay home, cannot make their payments, they can actually get 2 6-month windows where they do not have to make payments, where the interest rate is going to collect on the backside. And there are a few different options when you come out of forbearance. There's a few different options that will cover. One, you can make monthly payments get caught up. You can do a lump sum. Some have talked about doing a loan modification. Okay. Now, the first 6 months comes due in October, and people have a choice of a go or no go. Do they do the second 6 months, which is going to take us into April? Now, potentially in October, and it's starting right now, we have had a number of conversations already about, hey, October's coming. Is the outlook of my employment, my ability to, basically repay this mortgage, is that something that's going to come to fruition? That's a business decision, family to family, right? Okay. But as those come about, they're going to need to make a decision. For those that continue on to the second 6-month, forbearance, come April, a decision is going to need to be made. And that's going to be, to fish or cut bait, right? Same thing in October. Some people will be making that decision. Is that going to change? Are we going to have a different conversation? And that is what is going to be really coming to point again, October and April, or even between those. Somebody had mentioned, oh my gosh, George, there's a rumor that, there's hundreds of millions of people that filed a forbearance. Yeah, okay. That's not a bad thing. Some people needed it temporary. Some people need a little bit longer. There's no negative credit reporting that happens during this, which is awesome. That's one of the great benefits of it. Plus, they give you options of how to bring that interest that is due current. Okay, fine. Now, with that, they said, well, what if we see double the inventory on the market? I said, I can only hope so, because right now we're at like 0.7 months of inventory and dropping. We could use that. We could actually, if we went from 0.7 to 1.4 months of inventory, that would actually ease a lot of pressures. I know for a fact, last week, Steve and Lisa, we were working on an offer. Oh my gosh, there were, I think she said there were 15 offers, 9 pre-inspections on the house, and it was just crazy. I am sure that they would like to have had, a few more homes to take a look at instead of competing with that madhouse of a situation. So understand, us getting more inventory is not a bad thing right now. However, do I think our market would double? No, I don't. Come April, will we see something different? Potentially, right? Who knows? I'm projecting that people are going to need to make a decision. It's not going to be mayhem and catastrophic bedlam, but yes, people will be making a decision. Devin said, hey, with multiple crazy offers, should we do a pre-inspection? That's a business decision. So understand this. It's going to cost you between $425 to, depending on the size, up to $600, depending on the size, right, to do a pre-inspection. It allows you to remove that contingency as far as, and make you a stronger buyer in the eyes of a seller. Now, with that being said, yes, there's an expense. There's a cost to that. Does it need to happen every time? Probably not. Most of the offers that we have been presenting, yes, they have all been multiple offers. Not all of them have been a pre-inspection. In fact, Lorraine says, as a seller, you mentioned multiple offers and pre-inspections. Should this be something we should do? So this all kind of ties together, and that's why I'm bringing Lorraine into the picture right now. As a seller, there's pros and cons to having a bunch of people come through your house on a pre-inspection. That family had 9 inspections, and we could tell there was wear and tear, with the lid, attic lid getting down, testing this, testing that. Okay, yes, that's a lot of people crawling through your house. The alternative is, hey, do I do a pre-inspection? A seller provided pre-inspection. Well, again, there's pros and cons, right? You've got you're going to know about certain things. You'll be able to repair certain things. You're going to find certain things you didn't want to know about. Well, at least at that point, right? Because now you got to disclose it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. On the other side, for a buyer, the seller has provided this. Yes, it should be done by a neutral third party. However, it was not done by somebody who has your best interest. There is a little bit of liability on the seller side. There's a little bit of liability on the buyer side. As a seller, attach it to your Form 17. That way it becomes part of that review period. If your agent is not doing that, tell them to do it. It's the safest thing for you. As far as, and that's my opinion, okay, not a legal recommendation, my opinion. All right, and as a buyer, it allows you at least a snapshot of what is, good and bad with the home, what needs to be maintained. And again, you get to make that business decision. Lorraine, that might be an option for you to consider, is to do a pre-inspection of the home. Yes, it's going to cost you about $425 to $600, depending on the price of your home or the size of your home. And it'll allow you at least to mitigate people coming through. The alternative is to say, hey, whoever the winning buyer party is, you get to do the inspection. Nobody else does. I think that is another great alternative. So really you have, 3 alternatives, right? Let one person, or you do it, right? Okay. That's just the feedback for you, Lorraine. And if you want more of a detailed conversation, just let me know. Leave me a note again, and we'll respond to you. Simple enough. Okay. As far as Devin, always do an inspection. Hands down. I don't care if it's before or after, do an inspection. It is the cheapest insurance. You know what maintenance you need to do. You know what problems you're going to be dealing with. It is what it is. Do not go in and buy something of that value. That is probably the most valuable investment that you will own. And why would you shortcut yourself? $400 versus tens of thousands of dollars? That's a no-brainer to me. All right. So with that, James, I hope I answered your question regarding forbearance. And if you have any additional questions, let me know. Guys, all things considered, our market is doing amazingly well. Sellers, if you're pondering, is now the time to sell? Yes, without a doubt. Buyers, make sure you're fully underwritten. Make sure that if there's anything you can do to improve your credit score, which translates into dollars, which allows you more flexibility. If you find a house that you like, make sure that you do all your homework. Washington is a buyer beware state. Make sure you do your homework, because there's no going back after that one. Anyway, with that, my name is George Moorhead. Make sure that you subscribe. How you doing, Ryan? Make sure you subscribe. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. No strings attached. Share this with your friends. And you guys have a great weekend. It's a little wet out there, so stay dry.